Okay, now we know a lot about what are the different type of shells. Now, how do we start a shell? How do we get into different shells? Well, it's simple as is. Simply type the shell name. Meaning, if you are in Bourne shell and you want to get into just shell or seashell, just type sh or just type C shell. So, without explaining you more in detail, I'll log in straight to my Linux machine and I'll show you how you could switch from one shell to another. Okay, so I have this Linux machine, and you notice that I have this GUI running in Linux. Inside the GUI, I have this terminal. So all the commands that I run from the terminal is actually a, a shell. And that shell is, how do you find a shell? You do echo $0, and it tells you my shell is bash. Now, if I don't want it to use this command line, and you see in the back, I have this directory called home, and I have this trash can. So if I wanted to view the contents of home, what I do, I double click. So this environment right here, as you see, this environment is genome environment. And remember I told you genome is also a type of shell. So this is another shell right here, and this is command line inside is another shell. So if I wanted to open this folder, I am telling genome, which is the desktop GUI, to open up that folder. So double click and it will open up the contents of that directory, and these are all the directories I have. This is the file I have of all the directory. If I want to go into another directory, another file, or if I wanted to open up this file, I'll double click, and the genome shell is interacting with the kernel and operating system and telling it to open it up. Now, what if I do not have this GUI environment, right? So, and not everyone is a Windows, not everyone wanted to get into Windows, they wanted to get in the command line. So what do they do? So if you wanted to view the content of my home directory, I'm sure you know the output. I'm sure you know the output of PWD, which means home I have solved. So now if I wanted to view the content of my directory, I do ls-l. And you see here is a list of all the directories that I have in my home directory. So I did the same thing as I was doing here by double clicking it, but right now I use the command ls. So when I use the command ls, I actually am telling my bash shell to do this ls command for me. So let's do clear, and it will clear up my terminal. Now, if you wanted to see what other shell that you could change to, you could just simply type sh. When you hit sh, you see your shell prompt changes. And you could also verify it by running echo $0, and you'll see it is shell. Now, if you wanted to exit out of this shell to go back to your bash, you type exit. And if you want to go to, let's say, C shell, so you just type C shell, and you are in C shell. To confirm you are in C shell, you do echo $0 with C shell. You want to get out? What do you get? How do? You do exit. So that's how you get out. Now, what other shells have we learned? Let's say if you wanted to start a corn shell, SKSH, hit enter. It says bash corn shell command not found. It's a similar command as you could use, which is C shell. No, I want to use corn shell. Why I cannot get into corn shell? Maybe because I do not have corn shell installed in my computer. And how do I verify it? Simply do cat shells. Okay, tell me, do you see corn shell in there? No, right? That's why I was not able to start that corn uh, shell actually. So anyway, so that's how you could switch around shells, start a new shell. Again, this is if you want to get into a different shell environment. Now, how does it relate to shell scripting? The shell scripting that you want to learn, right? That's what you're probably thinking. Well, if you are creating a shell script, let's say in corn shell, And as you see right here, I don't have corn shell. That script is not gonna run. So you need to know your environment beforehand before you spend tons of number of hours and then realize, oh boy, I don't even have a corn shell, and you're not even allowed to install or download a corn shell. Anyway, so that's about changing the shells.